We're not going to have a presumptive nominee when it's done, Kayleigh, but Donald Trump will likely be a long way down that road. And we want to assemble our panel for their take this day before. Rick Davis and Jeanne Zaino, of course, are with us. Bloomberg politics contributors in our signature panel here on Balance of Power. Take us to school, Rick. Super Tuesday, what you'll actually be watching tomorrow night, because a lot of people think they already know how this movie ends.
Yeah, I think that there are some things I'm looking at vis-a-vis the Trump versus Haley contest. I think that you look at places like Vermont, Massachusetts as places she might be able to get into her sort of upper competitive level, like 40% of the vote. Maybe California, even though it's a winner take all, is she still getting that kind of vote potential out of moderates and independents? Most of these states have open primaries, so she'll be able to contest the election same way she did in New Hampshire. So I think that's one aspect of it that I'm looking at. And two, I think also just how much Republicans still care about this race. I mean, what are going to be the levels of turnout? Because arguably this may be the last gasp of a competitive race, and have people pretty much turned the page and decided they're not going to participate in what's basically a foregone conclusion.
Well, Jeanne, is it possible that actually the reverse happens, where any anti-Trump Republican or independently minded voter decides this is really the last chance to get behind Nikki Haley to try to make sure he isn't the nominee and shows out in full force? Is there any indication a scenario like that could happen?
Yeah, I mean, it's possible. If we believe the polls, it's probably unlikely. You know, places I'm watching, say, Northern Virginia, for instance, if Nikki Haley has a shot anywhere, it's going to be a place like Northern Virginia. That's going to be those kinds of areas in which you see the more educated, more traditional, what Donald Trump described this weekend as the old Mitt Romney type of Republican. You know, does she do better in those kinds of places? And then, of course, as Rick just discussed, turnout is going to be critical. We've seen, fairly robust turnout, but, does that start to dissipate because people believe, for instance, that Donald Trump essentially has this wrapped up? Or to your point, do we see people out there casting protest votes, quote unquote? And we do have a few states that are open primaries. And then we have some states in which if you aren't affiliated, you can vote and decide which ballot you're going to be on. So be watching those as well.
Rick, you're looking at March 19th, I think, for Donald Trump to have this in the bag, mathematically speaking, as we head for 12/15. Is that the date he'll shut it down?
Yeah, I think so. That's the safe date. He's got the ability to maybe, do better by trying to get it done by March 12th. But that's a real close call. He's got to win 90% of all the delegates on Super Tuesday to be even in the category of being able to lock up the nomination. When I say lock up, that's, 50 plus one of the 2,429 delegates that are eligible for the Republican convention. So I think it's so much as a foregone conclusion, but he likes to try and wrap it up early. And frankly, March 19th is relatively early, but won't be the earliest that anybody's ever done it.